At 8:46 in the morning of September 11, 2001, American Airlines Flight 11 flew into the North Tower of the World Trade Center near the 80th floor. At first, many thought this was just a freak accident, but just 17 minutes later, United Airlines Flight 175 flew into the South Tower near the 60th floor. "19 members of the Islamic terrorist group Al-Qaeda had hijacked 4 American planes so they could be flown into buildings in suicide attacks. A third plane, American Airlines Flight 77, flew into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. at 9:37 a.m. Due to the devastating fires caused by the jet fuel, a portion of the Pentagon collapsed, taking the lives of 125 military personnel and civilians, along with the 64 passengers aboard the plane. The South Tower collapsed at 9:59, followed by the North Tower at 10:28. Debris from the collapse fell on the 7 World Trade Center, damaging it and starting fires. These fires burned for hours, and at 5:21 p.m., the 7 World Trade Center collapsed. United Airlines Flight 93 was headed toward Washington, D.C. It is assumed that the target was either the Capitol building or the White House. The passengers had heard about the attacks and tried to take control of the plane. The hijackers feared that the passengers would regain control of the plane, and so they intentionally rolled the plane and crashed it in Pennsylvania. Everyone aboard the plane was killed. During the attacks, over 3,000 people died, including the hijackers. It was the deadliest day in history for New York City firefighters. 343 were killed. A former New York City firefighter, Clarence Singleton, talks about his experience on September 11, 2001. He is still dealing with the grief from that day. Quote, "The collapse of the towers was very loud. It was almost deafening. It's a sound I'll never forget. It's a tough time of year for me." Close quote. When the Twin Towers started falling, Singleton and hundreds of others started fleeing for their lives. Quote, "It's total sadness because let's face it, I lost a lot of friends. I have tried everything under the sun, but nothing has given me total relief yet." Close quote. Many people who experienced 9/11 still deal with post-traumatic stress. Major dust clouds were created from the collapse of the towers. The dust settled to a depth of 3 inches in locations as far as 6 blocks from the World Trade Center. New York Daily News photographer David Honsha said, "I got down to the end of the block and turned the corner when a wave, a hot, solid black wave of heat, threw me down the block. It literally picked me up off my feet, and I wound up about a block away." Today we have built a memorial in honor of the 9/11 attacks and all those who lost their lives that day. In the place of the 2 towers, there are giant man-made waterfalls, each 1 acre and going 30 feet down. They are the largest man-made waterfalls in the United States. The sound of the water falling is supposed to drown out the sounds of the city, making the site a contemplative sanctuary. Almost 400 sweet gum and swamp white oak trees fill the remaining 6 acres. These trees were relocated from the other places that were attacked. The names of all the victims were inscribed into bronze plates on the wall of the waterfalls. There are 5 buildings surrounding the waterfalls, with the tallest building being 1,776 feet, representing the year 1776 when the Declaration of Independence was signed. It is the tallest building in the U.S. and the 3rd tallest in the world. It is 400 feet taller than the original towers. This memorial helps America to never forget what happened that day and honors all those who died. We are forever grateful for their sacrifice.